ground.
Hey there, football fans. My name is Derek P. Fields, and welcome to the Gridiron Blitz. Be sure to subscribe and enable all notifications because here we talk all things Detroit Lions. I just realized the way I say it. I'm like Derek P. Fields. It's like a cadence. So, I don't know. I guess that's my thing. Today's video, we're just going to talk about some NFL news real quick. Nothing specifically related to the Detroit Lions. But I thought this was pretty interesting. You know, I'm going to follow pretty much a schedule when the season starts, and it'll be certain things on certain days. Now, I just saw today that players and owners are not opposed to adding 2 more teams from each conference, I suppose, to the playoffs. So expanding from 14 to 16 teams. My biggest question, we all know what this is all about. It's all about money. My biggest question is, how do they do that? So the only way that I could see is that the number 1 seed of each conference, they have to create some type of bye situation. That's the one thing about when you don't have even numbers, it kind of throws everything off. But if you guys have a scenario for how the NFL would do this, because it's going to be 2 more games added to the playoff in the playoff picture. Now, this is nowhere near happening, but the players are not and the owners are kind of for it. So we know that the new CBA is coming up soon, and it's a lot of stuff on the table, specifically the 18-game season. Now, if they go to 18 games, I'm pretty sure that they will add another playoff game because it only makes sense. So now you have more teams for less spots. So they kind of have to do something if they decide to expand the number of games, because you'll have more, because then it'll be even harder for teams. But this is all about revenue. This is all about money. And I think it's an interesting concept. So I think in the next 10 years, we're going to see a huge change to the NFL as we know it. We've heard the proposed 18-game season and what it would take for that to happen. This part for me is pretty complicated. How do you do you expand the 53-man roster? If so, how much? Then you're talking about limiting every single player to only 16 games. Now, I could kind of see that. You would have to expand the roster in a sense. That would be, let's take the Detroit Lions, for instance. We have a bunch of receivers that are pretty good that are going to get cut, that are going to be on the chopping block. So we got Andy Jones, we have Brandon Powell, we have Chris Lacey, we got Fulgham. We got all these guys that are showing talent, but we don't have enough room for all of them. So at that point, you know, they're going to have to figure something out that they keep those guys on the squad to allow Marvin Jones, Kenny Golladay. My thing is, will you be getting an inferior product? So let's say Matthew Stafford is limited to 16. Everybody's limited to 16 games. What do? Do you play Matthew Stafford game 1 and then you sit him game 2, or you sit him? Like, how does that work? I think that's kind of going to be a nightmare to kind of work out. But I think that we will see this in the next 10 years. The NFL is all about money. Last time I checked, they were somewhere between $9 and $12 billion a year in income. And the owners and the NFL are losing money. You know, people are staying at home to watch these games. And the blackout rule is gone. I even heard that they're talking about trying to bring the blackout rule back. That would force people to go to the games if they want to see, you know, their games in their market. Not a lot going on today as far as stuff that I want to talk about. Just to kind of switch real quick to AB, Antonio Brown. We all saw, probably if you haven't checked it out, Mike Mayock was on. He was interviewed yesterday. He said 89 guys are giving it all they have, and they're invested in the team. and they've tried to work with AB. And then Drew Rosenhaus comes on today, which is ironically his agent as well, which doesn't surprise me, and says that the NFL has not, and the Raiders have not exhausted all the options for this whole helmet fiasco. But he was at practice today. This guy is a nightmare. I am so happy that Bob Quinn, Matt Patricia, and the Lions organization is smart enough to have avoided this dude. Could you imagine if AB was on our Detroit Lions? I mean, you talking about the distraction of the century. This right here is a certified nightmare. So, hey, shout out to the Raiders for picking this guy up. I mean, obviously, they thought that it was worth it, but I'm sure they regret that decision right now. So anyway, guys, let me know below what you think of the proposed 14-team playoffs. I think it would be interesting. A lot of people are sold on this, 12 teams, 16 games. And I think that we just have to get with the program that everything is about money. The NFL especially. They are about money. They will find their players in a heartbeat if you don't wear the right stuff. This is about money. And we have to be ready, whether we like it or not, or whether we think it's a good idea, whether we think it will devalue the game. It's going to happen. My name is Derek P. Fields. This is the Gridiron Blitz. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And also check the end card and the description for Troxel Sports Talk and Lions Personnel Show. And don't forget to tune in later tonight for the Detroit Lions podcast at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That will be over on Troxel Sports Talk. So be sure you drop in, leave a comment, join the chat, give us some love, all right? I will talk to you guys later. Derek is out. Peace.
Holy grail.